invite you to relax open your jaw. Let your tongue be heavy on the floor of your mouth. You can give your head just a micro Indian head bobble. Release the tension in the back of the neck, the jaw. And on your next exhale, allow the ah sound to just fly out from your full heart.
We are here in Rishikesh, India, literally on the banks of the Ganges, Holy Mother Ganga, and at the Paramath Niketan Ashram International Yoga Festival, and it's a real delight to be here with Anandra George. And Anandra, I just want to say it's been such a blessing to be with you the last few years here at the International Yoga Festival. And Richard, our camera person, and I come down in the morning, we meditate at the Ganga, and then your class starts. Your Nāda yoga class starts, and the music is just profoundly beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks for receiving it. That's the Nāda is the sound, and in order for the sound to be sacred, you have to be willing to listen in and to receive, and I'm sure it's due to your meditative practice that you're so available for it.
Well, it's a real gift, and a real gift of coming home inward. Now, I think it's interesting. You're from the United States. You're here on the banks of Mother Ganga. You travel the world, particularly India and Asia and Australia, performing it. But how did you get started in this journey?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I had a pretty rough go of the first 10 years of my life. A lot of instability and challenge, feeling safe and connected. And when I first, there was in my middle school band tryouts, they put an instrument in everyone's hand, and we got to just try to make a sound on whatever we wanted, and I held a silver flute, and the teacher told me how to blow through it, and I blew through it, and the sound, I will always remember that moment when there was a sound that was bigger than me, that I was an instrument of, and it hooked me right from the start. So I've been involved in music since I was 10. It was my passion, and I was all set to go to music school. I was into jazz when I was in high school.
We have a friend here.
This is my friend. Yeah, I've known him since he was a tiny puppy. But I don't know, he's into my swans. Hey, honey. So I was all set to go to music school, and
any music school?
Berkeley. I was going to go to Berkeley School of Music, scholarship lined up and everything. And I went to, sorry, this is a little distracting. Honey, go on. Okay, so yeah, I was all set to go to Berkeley School of Music, and
Richard, keep going.
Yeah. Hi.
No, keep going. So you were all set to go to the Berkeley School of Music?
Yeah, I was all set to go to the Berkeley School of Music when the voice in my heart became undeniably loud and clear that was not the right choice for me. And I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I knew I wasn't supposed to do that. And so, hearing that voice at 15 was kind of scary, but but I knew without a doubt that it was true. And so much to this dismay of my parents and teachers, I went off on a spiritual journey instead, and followed the breadcrumbs of my intuition, and started having a series of mystical experiences that led me to India. And it was when I was in India that at a very holy ashram that the mantras really called to my soul. It was like tuning into a kind of inner thunder that I knew to be deeply true.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Really beautiful.
Yeah. I still, remembering that, get chills. Yeah.
Yeah. I can feel it just as you describe it.
Yeah.
And you've been studying with great masters here in India.
I have had the great privilege of being in the company of some pretty incredible beings.
What's that transformation been like for you? we have our friends playing
We have
here.
our own incredible beings joyously playing. I think what they say about being in good company, like, show me the company you keep and I'll show you who you are, is so true. Like, being around people who are living the teachings shows us what's possible. Like, it gives us an energetic imprint of potential that we, in so many ways, weren't even aware of what's possible before.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I've been really touched by how you're sharing Nāda yoga here at the yoga festivals. Anytime I've experienced the classes, we were filming your class and just seeing how people are transported, dropping in. You're on the bank of Mother Ganga and you invite people into a deep place. And then you're also really inspired by mantras for peace. And you have a vision that's been emerging through you.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit about mantras for peace and this transformation that you see happening?
Yeah. So many of us have been on this journey, on this path of, we could say, healing and connection or yoga for many, many years. And, at first we do it like as a life jacket to get ourselves out of pain, whether it's physical pain or mental pain. We want to find that peace. And so we go on the journey and use the tools and try to figure out our way, kind of back upstream to the source of peace within ourselves, which I've certainly done, But in the last couple of years, as that has stabilized for me, most of the time, actually, I live in peace. I sometimes can't remember the last time I had a negative thought or an unpleasant emotion. Like, weeks go by. And wow, 10 years ago, I would definitely not have said that. And so, I kind of reached to this, like, you could almost say like a plateau where I realized, okay, wait a minute. This is all great and fine and everything's going great, but now what? And it has dawned in my heart so deeply that actually all of that was just preparation. All of that sadhana, the hours and hours of practice. Sometimes, every day I would practice. I got up for years at 3-4 in the morning and did fire pujas and, getting rid of my own, obstacles. And it became really clear to me that as yogis, our job actually, once we get done with the prerequisites, is to make ourselves into instruments for peace. And to use the instruments of our mind and our voice and our heart to project love, to project peace. And I think that that's what we're here in the Himalayas, and we have this river of peace flowing, this river of prayer flowing. And, there are thousands of beings that are tucked up in the caves who don't come down, but they are constantly holding a grid. They are constantly emitting this pulsation of mantra for peace.
Beautiful. And Nāda yoga, the sound, and explain a little bit more about that and being a real avenue for peace.
Yeah, so sound is unique in that it is both tangible and subtle. So sound, vibration, is both source and substance. We know this now from quantum physics, that there's actually nothing. There's no, everything is governed by the field. And the field is vibration. It's a vibratory resonance field. So the sound is the substance of creation. And when we travel back to the origin of sound, that silence is the source. So the meditation on sound, the Nāda, the yoga, the Nāda yoga, is a means for us, for the individual I to dissolve back into the infinite I.
And in this particular, and you were drawn to these masters working with sound Vedic tradition. Say a little bit more about, it's just, you're not just rock and roll and,
No.
there's nothing wrong with rock and roll, but you're really working with Vedic, deep Vedic.
Well, I think something in me knew that there was a core to the Vedic tradition. There was a mystic essence buried in the sound. And I had to come here and listen for it, because this is, of all the places on the planet, this is one of, or maybe the only, I don't know, I haven't been everywhere, one of the places where the tradition has been unbroken.
Okay. And so as a person's working with, going into Nāda yoga, the mantras for peace with these sacred sounds, is that the correct way to describe it? There's
yes, absolutely.
Transformation that takes
it's
place.
both mantra, which is like the repetition of a thought, or, like a thought form, as well as the transmission of the sound itself, the essence through the sound.
Okay.
Very, very perceptive.
Well, we've heard Krishna Das and others just talk about that. That starts to work on a person, starts to dissolve.
Oh yeah, well that's a whole nother subject,
Okay, and so let's come back to mantras for peace in this, and what you're seeing. You're going to be offering to the world, a course, a free course, right?
Absolutely.
Mantras for peace, online. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, coming from that inspiration that, basically that my happiness is not enough. That's satisfying here. But I want everyone to be happy. Because really and truly, only when everyone is at peace are any of us at peace. If there's war somewhere in the world, then we're all at risk. If someone in my family is sick, then everyone is down. So coming from that inspiration, I wanted to start sharing the concept of using the instrument of our minds and our voices to invoke peace for everyone. Because when I pray for me, okay, fine. But when I pray for everyone, I'm also included in that.
I just have to say I'm really deeply moved because we had an email exchange about this several months ago, and you said, I have this vision of sharing these offerings for free to the world. And then you said, and now I'm heading up to, I don't know if it was a cave or where,
Probably.
for several months.
Yeah.
And the idea of this modern age, Anandra talks about Dwapara Yuga, information. We're here on the banks of the Ganges. You at the age of 15 followed your heart. It brought you to these great masters, and here you are now offering to the world music for peace from these deep Vedic traditions from the Himalayas.
Well, what else would I do?
And the world right now is, there's so much pain in the world, and that you're offering this, and so people can be online. So what would be the experience of someone who's just jumped online and says, okay, who's new to this?
Yeah, well, I've been, well, first of all, let me just say that the ability to tap into the yoga of sound and use the mind intentionally rather than to be caught in in a reactive cycle. So where, we get stuck in fear and we're constantly fighting or, flighting or freezing. Even many of us on the spiritual path are locked in that sympathetic nervous system response. It's so important that we are able to consciously embody peace, and we can do that through awareness of vibration. Like, we have the power to project whatever vibration we want to, and the yoga of sound is really about being able to establish that intentionally.
And this is so beautiful because, we were talking with Bruce Lipton, and he's talking about, we are energy. And the energy that we're transmitting affects the people around us, and the energies of people around us affect us. And you were talking about, you can tell a person by the company he or she keeps.
Yeah.
And we can be the company that people would like to keep.
Yeah, we can either be reactive or we can be generative. And the yoga of sound for me is about becoming that generative force of love, essentially.
So tell us more about the mantra for peace offering, please.
Yeah, so I love to teach, especially beginners who are new to these teachings, and so I developed an online course, which is basically like a series of emails with accompanying videos and MP3s and different tools, teaching tools, to really provide a heartful and also kind of nerdy foundation. Like,
I love you said nerdy.
I'm kind of a nerd, there are nerdier nerds than me, but I really you snorted. Okay, now we have begun. Really though,
our microphone windsock is blown in the wind. I don't know if the camera's picking up. Okay,
well,
so
we're having fun, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, like, precision is really important. Because it is. I want to be exact, and so like, as a musician, being in tune is important. As a mantra yogi, enunciation of the sound is critical. So I go pretty deep into that, and provide tools for everyone to really hone their mantra practice. So particularly because in the West, very few kirtan leaders or mantra people or as yoga teachers are really tuned into the vibrations of the Sanskrit. Almost no one.
Of the Sanskrit?
Yeah.
And why is that important?
Oh my God, it's so important because the name, the sound, is the subtle form. So if the name is smushy, the form is not clear.
Okay.
The form is frustratingly out of reach. But when the enunciation is clear and all the lines of manifestation from silence to sound are
From silence to sound.
are clear, then the resonance is instantly embodied. It's, yeah, trust me on this one.
Okay, we'll trust, and then we'll have a sample to close out.
Yeah.
And in that silence to sound, and in that resonance, imagining that just awakens a person's soul awareness.
It's hot stuff.
It's hot stuff, and it starts vibrating, and imagine that just really complements spiritual awakening, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you
it's
know
hot
what?
Stuff.
It's hot stuff. There are no words. You know, there are no words, and you know, so in the process of working with mantras for peace, we become the mantra. We become the vibratory, you know, vehicle of peace. So all of our personal issues and our personal obstacles and knots that we have in our mind, by grace, transform.
Yes, and it's not something overnight. I imagine.
No, it's not overnight. No.
And so, because things come up, things get shaken
Yeah.
loose.
Yeah.
We get, and that releasing process can
Yeah.
be. Anyway.
There can be a bit of a detox, you know, with
Yeah.
that, but it is, in my experience, the steady practice becomes like a mathematical certainty, you know.
Beautiful.
Like when the content of your thought becomes primarily mantric in nature, when the content of your thought becomes primarily creative in nature rather than primarily reactive, life just gets exponential.
Okay. So some of my friends have mentioned that I can be out of key, out of tune, tone deaf. So I plan on experiencing your course.
Oh, how exciting!
And so can I, even though I have no musical background?
Yes. The wonderful thing about the yoga of sound is that it's not a performance.
So say more about this.
It's not. Yeah, I can feel you just going.
Please.
Please tell me I'm okay.
Well, that, and it's like I want to express just love. You know, so-
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you have a beautiful voice or a tuneful voice. You can be deaf. What matters is your love. You know? What matters is willingness to connect into the silence behind the sound. And so I work with a lot of people who are, you know, city dwellers and living with other people, and they can't necessarily disturb all their family or roommates at 5 o'clock in the morning. So they practice silently. And one of the things that's so fun about the practice of mantra is that you become so aware of the different levels of your thought. You know, so chanting mantra is only one way. You can do it in a whisper. You can do it just with your mind.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so you don't have to be a singer.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Good. And it opens love,
Yeah.
an infinite source of love. I'm imagining. I mean, I've heard great mystics talk about the love affair with the beloved.
Oh, don't get me started.
Okay, start on that. Okay, that's a whole nother conversation. Yes. Okay, that's another one. Wonderful. Well, can you give us any words closing, and then give us a little sample here, and then we'll.
Well, honestly, I'm freezing cold, but
Yeah.
might have a shaky voice, but yeah, we'll close. We'll close with something.
Okay.
I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I really am so excited about having more people entering into this opportunity to be an instrument for peace. Because I think often when we see what's happening in the world, it's overwhelming. It's, sometimes you just want to crawl in your little hole and eat potato chips and pretend like it's not happening, until it comes knocking on your door, maybe.
Right.
But chanting for peace, using sound and mantra to proactively emanate love on the planet is so useful. It's something we can do. When we can't do so many other things, or the magnitude of the problem seems so out of reach, we can do that, and it does help because it's increasing the field. It's increasing the vibration of the field. Rather than going into, like a teaching about the mantra, I'll just leave that for the video and the course and everything. Because like I said, I'm nerdy, so it would take a while.
I love the precision and the discipline.
It's worth it, yeah. So we'll close with an Om.
So we'll chill out.
And
with
if
an
you
Om.
want to unplug your mic, you can.
No. It'll be testimony that anybody can do this.
Yeah.
I'll do it silently.
Oh, fun. So, blessings for everyone from the banks of Ganga and the foothills of the Himalayas. Let's just if you're watching, you can join us, and we'll take a deep breath in together, and we'll exhale with the sound of Om. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I love we have Om Guru type.
I know. We have Gurmukh in the background. That's her. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really touched. Really do. And thank you so much for sitting in the cold.
Oh my God. I'm like, yeah, really? I'm so excited about this. I'm shaking. One of the keys for me of like getting out of the addictive cycle of looking for fulfillment outside is asking myself if going after the experience, like going for the sensory experience, like having a chocolate or something, do I think that the chocolate is going to give me satisfaction, or am I already satisfied? And is the strategy of the chocolate a celebration? Is it grasping or celebration? That's the question that I ask myself. And so that applies to human relationships as well. If I'm grasping and thinking that, spending time with somebody or being in connection with another body is going to fulfill me somehow, then it's a setup for disappointment, because the fulfillment is only experienced here. But when I'm fulfilled here, then spending time with another body, like feeling, a hand or a hug or something is a celebration. It's fullness on top of fullness. Yeah.
Yum.
Yum.
Yum. Yum. Yum. Yum.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.